After an earth-shattering announcement of a huge event that has fans all over the world on the edge of their seats, we are back for more. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we are going to be going over something that we all missed in this announcement, and it has to do with the Dragon Ball Super manga returning in 2026. We'll be talking about that and how it connects to Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour as well, because I think they are painting a clear connection. Also, we got our first look at a brand new Dragon Ball game, and spoiler alert, it does not look the best. Also going to be going over the Gekishin Squadra leaks, which we barely touched upon in the previous video, and connecting Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's DLC to this big event coming up in January. First off, let's talk about this. This is something making the waves. Masako Nozawa becomes the first ever voice actor to be named as a Cultural Merit honoree and receive the Medal of Culture. It's a very high honor in Japan. So, good for Masako Nozawa. Some fans were a little bit concerned because you had a lot of headlines coming out with Masako Nozawa, and then it showed her face, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, you don't start an announcement like that, you're going to give me a heart attack, because people obviously see that headline and assume the worst, like, oh no, did we lose Masako as well? But no, she's just being honored, so I wanted to take the moment to honor her as a legend, and yeah, congratulations, Masako Nozawa. Everybody show your love. That's absolutely amazing. Alright, so let's move on to the big Dragon Ball Super news, and I do think this is news. I know we've all heard the saying, it's so over, we're so back, it's so over, we're so back, and a lot of people are getting very pessimistic when it comes to the manga. They're pretty positive in terms of the anime announcements, because we all know that Akio Iyoku handles the anime and video games, and there's two different panels featuring Masako Nozawa and Iyoku. And we know they cannot be for the video game that's going to be announced, because they have a separate video game panel that is in between the Iyoku panels. So, a lot of people were assuming that this was just going to be a big event for maybe two new anime projects and a video game announcement, which by itself is major. Don't get me wrong, I am not downplaying the significance of that at all. This is a big deal. However, one thing a lot of people are missing, and I got to give a shout out to Astral Flame on my YouTube comments section, because he pointed this out to me. The weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition. It's specifically Special Edition. So, for those of you not in the know, you may be wondering, what does this matter? Well, weekly Dragon Ball News is basically the vector for which the Shueisha, the Shonen Jump company, they put out the manga announcements there. They've had Toyotaro on their channel, the weekly Dragon Ball News videos. They've had Toyotaro there several times. He's been there to talk about the manga, the arcs, the characters. They've done videos where they look back at the arcs, and he talks about who came up with what between him and Toriyama. They also had him most recently, roughly a year ago, for the big poll they did, where they chose which Goku fights were the best in the series, and then Goku versus Master Roshi in his disguise for the tournament won, and they went ahead and he did a drawing of that and presented it on the Dragon Ball Weekly News channel. So that is basically the official page for all the Dragon Ball manga announcements, as well as other things like products and stuff. Now, this is where things get interesting, and it gets a little bit tinfoil-y hat, but I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point. I don't want to say it's outright confirmed, but they're basically dancing around it and teasing us. So, if you look at the time length for this, it's 1640 to 17, so it's roughly 20 minutes of announcements for the weekly Dragon Ball News. It's specifically Special Edition. And keep in mind, this is the last big panel they're doing before the end, where they have Kageyama. That's right, Kageyama. Before Kageyama does his big concert, right? So we have Nozawa, Iyoku, and then Kageyama. So this is going to be the big Kageyama concert to close us out. The panel before that is weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition. So you could say Special Edition is just for it being a live show, but it's a 20-minute show. Now keep in mind, usually for like the past year or even more, unless it's involving the manga or Toyotaro, most of the Dragon Ball Weekly News videos have been like 5 minutes, if that. Maybe 4 minutes, maybe 6 minutes, because there's not much to talk about. Now, you could say, oh, it's a 20-minute video because they're recapping all this news that just happened. This is in the same day. So number one, I highly doubt they're going to be going over all the news that just dropped in one day on the weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition. With it being the Special Edition, it kind of implies they're going to be doing something that is unusual from the usual format of the weekly Dragon Ball News. And if you're, like I said, aware on the weekly Dragon Ball News, it's maybe a 5-minute video going over the announcements for Dragon Ball for that week. This is a 20-minute video. This is going to be major. So, again, some of you may be still casting doubt on this. Now, let's connect it to Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour, which we previously expected to be the big event that would rein in the return of the Dragon Ball Super manga. So, this was something that came out a while back, and I didn't really report on it because I didn't think it was that substantial until we got the announcement of the weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition panel, which is going to be the one to close out the event right before the concert, of course. So, again, I looked at this and I was like, I don't really think there's anything too crazy going on there. So, Vinixis posted this. He said, once again, they keep reminding us that the Battle Hour will be an unprecedented event. Note that last sentence isn't confirmation of anything, at least for now. So, what is he talking about? Let's read this. Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2026 is scheduled to be held. We will deliver the latest information on the appeal of Dragon Ball, which continues to be developed in multiple forms, including the original manga, anime, movies, games, figures, and toys to fans around the world. So number one, that new video game that we know is going to be announced in January, that's definitely going to be shown off here, right? So that's what they're talking about whenever they say it's going to be a big event, deliver the latest information, continues to be blah, 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 games. So again, all the games, right? But then it says first in the original manga. Keep in mind, it says which continues to be developed in multiple forms, including the original manga. Guys, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? We will deliver the latest information and appeal of Dragon Ball, which continues to be developed in the original manga. This will be taking place a few months after the big event with the weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition. So, what do I think is going to happen? What is the theory? What is the tinfoil hat theory, if you would like to say it? What is the big thing? So, we don't know if these anime announcements are the Dragon Ball Super anime or a new anime or a movie or whatever. This could be the Dragon Ball Super manga returning. So Dragon Ball Super could return in the form of a manga. They could announce it in this weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition. And then maybe after the first chapter is out, or maybe Toyotaro would want to tease it a little bit more, or maybe the companies would want to come together and do a push. That would be where this manga mention would come into play for the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour 2026. So, they're literally saying it's the latest information about the manga. Everybody missed this. Everybody missed this. Nobody was talking about this. But it literally says latest information and appeal of Dragon Ball, which continues to be developed in the manga. And then right here, again, weekly Dragon Ball News Special Edition, where they specifically are there to deliver information about the manga. So, or, like I said, it could be other products as well, but with it being specifically Special Edition, a 20-minute video, and then this as well, combined with that, just shortly afterwards, and them really talking up this event as a big event, right? This is, I believe this is, we're finally back, basically, is what I'm saying. This event, we are going to get a ton of announcements, and it's going to be good. It is going to be good. And speaking of this event, we actually have the Sparking Zero over 200 characters trailer. So if you look into the description, it does say more info coming January 2026. That's obviously for this event, right? January 2026, more info. It does not, however, have its own panel. So I think what they're going to be doing is somewhere in the mix of all these panels, they may talk about it, or they just may release a trailer for it. Maybe for the new game Super announcement stage, they'll have a Sparking Zero trailer for the next DLC to start us off and then talk about it for a few minutes, or maybe they'll close it out like that. So that's that. Pretty interesting stuff there. So Dragon Ball Sparking Zero DLC most likely going to be revealed at this event, as well as 2 new projects and a brand new video game. And the Dragon Ball Super manga most likely will be returning. The announcement will be made of it returning. Oh, another thing I should mention is a lot of people were under the assumption that this was a Ioku event, but keep in mind, Ioku does not own Dragon Ball. He works with Toriyama's estate, Bird Studio, all the rights holders, and basically helps facilitate them and basically guides the series, right? Because he was Toriyama's right-hand man and really worked with Toriyama on a lot of stuff. A lot of people assumed this was an Ioku event. However, with weekly Dragon Ball news here, Shueisha has a physical presence. Shonen Jump has a physical presence at the event. That's another thing, maybe leading to the theory that maybe the rights issues were resolved by this point. So, again, who knows? It's all up in the air. But signs point to the return of Dragon Ball Super, the manga. And again, I keep going back to this where they say they'll deliver the latest information and appeal of Dragon Ball, which continues to be developed in the original manga. So, that's a big one. Alright, now let's talk about the Gekishin Squadra leak, because I touched on it in the previous video, but I did not go into detail too much, and the reason why I did that was because there was just so much to talk about in the last video. It ran to almost 30 minutes. It was a big video, and it's in a very exciting time to be a Dragon Ball fan with that event coming up, and tons to speculate on, tons of things to get excited about, and then people are kind of just throwing this out there, and not a lot of people are picking it up. Gekishin Squadra, from my understanding, is doing well, but it's not doing like amazingly, but I think all it needs to do is do well in order to succeed. So, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta coming to Gekishin Squadra in Season 2. So I touched on it in the last video, but Season 2 would be around the time that this event is going on for the 40th anniversary. So this would be the ideal place to announce this officially, but I just wanted to take a moment to reinforce that this is most likely a leak. I don't think this is a typo. It would be a weird typo to make, you know, Vegeta Super Saiyan Space 4. So whoever did this specifically went in and typed in a 4. So with all that being said, what do you think Vegeta Super Saiyan 4 is going to end up being in Gekishin Squadra? Will he be a tank DPS or a support, you know? So like what do you think is going on here? Is he going to be a tech character? I think he'll probably be a tank if I'm guessing, but I'm new to MOBAs. Gekishin Squadra is the first MOBA I've played, and I've been wrong on several fronts when it comes to how characters are classified in this game, so I guess it's all up in the air. Who knows what Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is going to be, but he is coming in Season 2. They accidentally left this in the patch notes, so good for them, I guess, for getting people excited. It'll be our first Super Saiyan 4 character, too, which is interesting they went with Vegeta, but I guess they'll probably save some other surprises for later, like maybe Super Saiyan 4 Goku Daima, and have a GT Super Saiyan 4 in the form of Vegeta, and a Daima Super Saiyan 4 in the form of Goku. I could actually see them doing that. Alright, and moving on. New mobile Dragon Ball game trailer. Yes, it is official. So, that's exciting. So let's go ahead and, I guess, react to it. This is going to be my first time reacting to it. I've only seen people talking about it and saying it looks bad. So, I don't have the audio playing through my desktop recording. It's just going to be playing through the speakers, and you'll be able to hear it in the background. And I'll be giving my thoughts on it as we go. So, alright, so again, I've only heard people saying this looks like garbage. Apparently it's only in China. And we have some artworks, so obviously it looks like mobile quality, I'm assuming. Yeah, obviously. I mean, just look at these artworks. Yeah, this is a mobile game. Hang on. This Goku here, he looks specifically like a Goku I saw on like a cover for Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku on Game Boy Advance or something like that. That's crazy. Okay. I think these are Chinese characters. Okay, so that's the gameplay. And then that's the overworld exploration. That actually doesn't look too bad, honestly. Are these cutscenes? Or gameplay? Okay, I think I'm seeing where the gameplay is coming in now. Looks like you can fish, too. That's interesting. Well, was that it? Oh no, they've got like 20 seconds left. I guess of screenshots. So yeah, here's your look at some screenshots for this game. So honestly, what I'm seeing here is that it's mobile slop. It looks like mobile slop because you see those fake Dragon Ball game commercials on YouTube, or the ads on YouTube, and it's so fake. And this kind of looks like one of those games, but it has just a little bit more polish than one of those games. And by that, I mean those games usually reuse assets from like Legends or just artwork assets from Dokkan Battle. This is clearly using original assets, original models, but the gameplay does not look very exciting. So, again, it looks like it plays like the mobile slop ads that you see, you know, where you replace the characters and they're like laid out on a kind of on like a grid-based system thing. So that's interesting. So definitely not very exciting, and a lot of people in the comments were obviously crapping on this. It does not look amazing. Now, this part right here with, where was it at? Right here with the exploration and the cinematic cutscenes and stuff, I like that because a lot of new mobile games are actually strong enough to do stuff like this. I just wish the gameplay was more like this. So it looks good. It kind of gives me Dragon Ball Z Kakarot vibes. Goku is very thick here, which is cool because he hasn't really been this thick in a lot of games. So it's cool that they're actually making him thick here. And it looks like this first part will be covering just the Saiyan saga and the Namek saga, which makes sense. They normally do that with a lot of games and stuff like that. Like these online supported games, they'll start off with like the Saiyan and Namek saga. They never start off with just the Saiyan saga, which lends credence to my headcanon or theory that Dragon Ball Z should really just be separated into the Frieza saga, the Cell saga, and the Buu saga, and the Saiyan saga should just be absorbed into the Frieza saga because it's a little too short to, I think, be considered like one of the sagas, in my opinion. That's a little tangent. But yeah, brand new Dragon Ball game. Does not look too good, but I would say I'm going to give it a shot, but I believe it's only in China, so unless they bring it to the States, I'm fine not playing it, if I'm being honest. So yeah, this is a brand new Dragon Ball game. And that is not, by the way, the brand new Dragon Ball game that they're going to be announcing for the big event. If it was, that would be insane. That would be crazy. Could you imagine them announcing that here? That would be insane. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Please leave a like and comment down below giving me your thoughts on the likelihood of the Dragon Ball Super manga returning in 2026. I believe no matter what they announce at this event, the quote Dragon Ball Super returns most likely will be applying here, whether it's the Dragon Ball Super returning, whether it's Dragon Ball Super returning in the form of a movie, whether it's Dragon Ball Super returning in the form of the anime coming back, or the manga coming back. I think we're definitely going to get Dragon Ball Super returning in 2026. Hopefully, it's the manga, honestly. A new movie would be great, and the anime coming back to adapt the Mora arc and the Granola arc would be great. And expanding on the Broly movie with the rumored bigger script that Toriyama did, and a lot of it was cut out. I would love to see that expanded on in a Dragon Ball Super anime return. But what I want most of all is the manga, if I'm being honest, because that's the furthest ahead we are in the story. But I'll totally be fine with like all three coming back. And the truth is, I'm starting a little bit because this is very exciting. The truth is, there's a strong possibility for all. There's a strong possibility for the movie and the anime because there's two different panels teasing two new projects that are not the video games. So a movie and an anime, and then the manga returning. That would be amazing. Simply amazing. So yeah, guys, stay tuned. These next couple months leading up into January are going to be some of the most exciting times to be a Dragon Ball fan. If we are extremely disappointed by this event, we will never recover. We've had times like, we've had like expos and Comic-Con panels and things like that, and interviews where they were supposed to be with Toyotaro, and we were like, oh my god, is this it? Is he going to announce it there? No. If they announced the super, and I would always say it, if they announce a super return, it would most likely be at one of these events that are officially part of Shueisha or Shonen Jump or in a Yoku event, and this has the makings of an event like that where they would announce the return of the manga. And then some. You know, we're not going to just get the manga. We're getting a lot of other stuff along with it. So, very exciting times to be a Dragon Ball fan, guys. Please, if you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace off.